Welcome to Odisha State Open University. In this lecture, we are going to learn about materials in Blender. Material is the subject which brings realism to the 3D object. In this video lecture, we are going to learn about materials. So under the materials, we will learn the following. First, we will learn how to apply 3D shade of colors. Second, we will learn how to apply image mapping. Third, we will apply some ready-made textures. Fourth, we will apply the effect of reflection. Fifth, we will apply the effect of halo. And next, we will learn how to do the UV mapping and use the unwrap UV mapping technique of Blender. First, let us start with the 3D shade of colors. So I go to File, New, reload the startup file. This is the startup file which we are having by default. Expand this area. So here we can see the material tab. So click on the material tab. You can say it as a tab or you can say it as a panel. So click on the material panel. So first we will learn the 3D shades. By default we have a material which is already applied to this object. Under that we can change the parameters which we call it 3D shade of colors. So my first shade is diffuse. So what is diffuse? Diffuse is the main color of the object. Click on diffuse, I can change the color. Next, we are having Lambert. So click on Lambert, you are having various shades. You can apply Fresnel, you can apply Minette, you can apply Toon. This is the output which you can visualize here. Then Oren Nair, then we are having Lambert. So next we have the intensity. If I reduce the intensity, the 3D depth is more and the color shade is less. If I increase the intensity, my color shade is more. So according to my requirement, I will increase or decrease the intensity. So then we have the specular. So now you can see a white color highlighter over here. This highlighter is called specular. So this kind of highlighter will be available to objects which are smoother. It will not be available to the object which are already in a corner shape. So this highlighter you cannot see over here, you can see it only over here. Now we are having specular as white color and the intensity is 0.5. If I decrease the intensity, you can see that this is vanishing. So it depends upon different kinds of objects. For example, with the same color we can have an object which is made up of metal, and we can have the same object which is made up of plastic. So both of them may have the same color, but the specular capability of a glass or we can say a plastic is more while a metal is less. So according to the object requirement we have to increase or decrease the specular. So then we are having hardness, we can increase or decrease the hardness. We can see the preview right over here like this. Then we have emit, we can increase the emit. It creates a glowing effect to the subject like this, emit. We can increase or decrease the ambient like this. So next we are having translucency. You can increase or decrease the translucency like this. So this is the basic 3D colors. So then we are having transparency. So if I want a transparent output out of the color, I can click on transparency. Then I increase the alpha or decrease the alpha. You can see that the object is getting transparent. Some effects is not visible directly over here. We can see it only when we render it. For example, I create a UV sphere over here. So now this sphere is inside this box. So now what I do, go to render, click on render. So now you are able to see the shape which is inside the image. If you increase the Fresnel, you get a bubble kind of effect. So you might have seen bubbles. So what happens in a bubbles is the inside areas are transparent and the outside areas are thicker. Whereas if the Fresnel is 0, then it is totally transparent like a glass. So it depends upon different objects how we use the transparency. Now we have applied a 3D shade of color to this object. So now I will show you how to apply a single shade to different type of objects. For example, I want to use the same color over this object. Click on this object, I click over here, then I click on material. So you can see that this material is directly applied over this object. So next, suppose I create a cylinder. I create a cylinder here. So now when I create a cylinder, you see that you don't have any material over here. So now here what you have to do, you have to create a new material on your own. So click on this new. So you get a new material called material 001. So now here I apply a color to it. Suppose I apply a blue color to it like this. So now suppose I create another object called torus like this. Now I want to apply the same blue color over this torus. So what you have to do, you should not click on new. If you click on new, a new color will be applied. So if I change this color won't change. So what I want is, I want that a material should be applied to two objects. So what I do, I select this object, I click over here and I choose the material 001. Now if I change the color over here, suppose if I change it to pink, you can see that both the colors are changing. We will learn how to apply an image over this cube, which is called image mapping. Go to material, I have a by default material over here. I go to this texture tab, I go to type, I change it to image or movie. Then I go to open, I go to my folder where I have my image, I choose my image, click over here, you can see it as thumbnails, double click on this image. So now you have got the image over here, but you are not able to see the image on the screen. To display the image on the screen, you have to click on this one and change it to material. Now you can see the image which I have applied over here in the box. This is how to apply a image over a particular object. Further we will learn how to create the UV mapping of it. We will learn how to create ready-made textures. So in Blender there are lots of ready-made textures which are available, which you can use directly on the screen without going to any image editing software. For example, I have the default object here and I have the default color which is applied to it. Now I go to the texture tab, I click over the type here. You see you are having lots of textures. First is wood. When I click on wood, I can see over here like this. Go to the object, change it to rendered, it looks like this. Some of the effects are there which you cannot see directly on the screen. You have to render that, then only you can see it on the screen. Suppose this is wood, I change it to suppose voxel data. So then the effect is like this. I change it to work. You can see the effect like this. Then I change it to stucky. The effect is like this. You can change the colors over here. Colors and the setting. For example, I change this to blue like this. You can see the effect in blue. These are called ready-made textures. We will learn how to create a reflection. For example, I have a cube over here. This is my ground, for example. Okay, like this. So then what I do, I create a cylinder over it. I create a cylinder like this. Okay. Then I create a material to the cylinder. I go to material over here, click on new, click over here, then I give a violet color to it like this. So now I want the reflection of this cylinder over this box. So I click on this box. You can see the by default material of white color which is applied to the box. I go to the bottom of it. You can see an effect here which is called mirror. I click over this mirror and I increase the reflectivity to 0.5. So now the effect of reflectivity cannot be seen directly over here. You have to go to render, then click on render image. So now you see that the reflection of this object is falling over this object, and this is called the reflection effect which comes over here. We will apply the effect of halo over this object. So halo means HALO. You can go to this option material. Under material you have lots of effects over here like this. So now you have some effect which is called halo. So now I click on halo. You can see the effect like this. Increase the alpha. For example, I go to create. I create a UV sphere like this. I go to material. I create a new material. Then I change the effect to halo like this. Now render it. So this is called halo effect. We will learn about the wireframe effect here. I go to materials. Under materials you have the wire effect. Click on wire. You can see the object as wire here. Click on render. Click on render image. Your object is displayed as wire. This is called your wire effect. We will learn about UV mapping and unwrap mapping in this part. For using a UV mapping or unwrap mapping, you have to apply a map to the subject. I go over here, texture, press the tab, you can go to edit mode like this. So then go to this mesh portion here, then click on UV unwrap, and you can use the various projections like unwrap, smart UV project, light map pack, follow, cube, cylinder, sphere, etc. There are some effects which you can see only in the rendered mode like this. This is how to create a UV map projection. We will do some modification to the UV map which we have applied. We can do this in two ways. Click over here. We are having two modes. One is compositing and other is UV editing. Click on compositing. Your mode will change in this form like this. So now here I click here and I change it to texture mode. I get it like this. I click here and I choose the image over here. So then I go to edit mode, press tab, I get the edit mode, press A to select all, go to the face mode, press A and select all. You can see the coordinates over here. Then I change it to holding. The face will automatically get selected here. You can move the points of the face and do the adjustment. Choose any face, the face will get selected over here. So to conclude, in this video lecture you have learnt about materials. With the help of materials you can create any 3D object and you can bring realism to it using the photographs or the textures which you can apply to the object.